Hi, I'm Brin from bigender.net. I actually had an interview with Enoch, who runs a blog called What to Do If You're Hung Like a Ken Doll. I'll put the link in the show notes. So anyway, I got all dolled up and hooked up the webcam and everything, so I thought I'd take an opportunity to do a long overdue web video, or YouTube video. I've been sort of absent lately because I am training to walk in the Avon Walk for Breast Cancer in Chicago in June, and that's taking a lot of time and not leaving me with a whole lot of spare time and energy, frankly, for recording videos, because I have to do all the other stuff too. But one of the interview questions that Enoch asked me was to talk a bit about what I experience as different between when I'm out as a woman and when I'm out as a man, in the way that people treat me. I thought that was a really interesting question. It's something I had thought of before at bg.n, but I had never really talked about in video before. So I thought I'd take the opportunity. There's something I wasn't completely aware of consciously until I started going out as a woman and interacting with people as a woman, is that when you're a man, there is a certain level of assumed competence in a lot of things, and basically everything. You're expected to know something about everything, but especially things like cars, sports, and home repairs. You're supposed to be an expert. You're expected to be an expert, even if you're not. What happens is, at least in my case, and I suspect in a lot of others, is when those subjects come up, or you're in a conversation where it's very clear that you are expected to know something about something about the topic at hand, you are expected to contribute to the conversation. Guys are always expected to contribute to the conversation, and always add something to it, and always show their level of knowledge. There's even a one-upmanship that comes along with it, but if you don't know about it, you also have to manage not to look like an idiot and not let on that you don't know about it. It's hard for a guy to say, honestly, I don't know anything about it, because it's almost a point of shame that you don't, and your buddies will give you hell for it. Whereas as a woman, there is a certain level of assumed incompetence, especially on topics like sports, cars, and home repairs, where if you even have the barest level of information, all of a sudden men are lining up to give you a medal. And it's sort of like, don't pin a sticker on me because I know how to tie my shoes or something. It's just a piece of knowledge. So it's interesting to me because when I'm in a group of just women, I have to be very careful to counter the instincts that I've developed as growing up and being socialized as a boy, not dominating the conversation and not talking over the top of women, because if you pay attention to the conversations that you're in when you're in mixed company, you'll see guys all the time talking over women and constantly adding to or dominating the conversation, even when they're not knowledgeable in the subject, and expecting people to defer to them when they're talking and not deferring to women when they're talking. So that's the big difference that I've seen, is in interpersonal reaction, or rather in interpersonal reactions. That's the biggest difference I've seen. So that's, and part of that is male privilege. I don't talk a lot about privilege, but it's like it's the invisible knapsack of expectations and advantages and benefits you get for being white or being a man or being a woman, although their knapsack is lighter. It's all tied up in this, and you notice it when you're living on both sides of the spectrum. I've seen life from both sides now. Thank you, Joni Mitchell. Whereas, so as a woman, in addition to people not expecting me to know anything, and thinking that it's okay to talk over the top of me or dismiss my opinion, there's also people are nicer to me when I'm out and about. Men anyway, especially, are nicer to me when I'm out and about. Women tend to be more accepting of my presence than if I were a guy in their midst. There's a way that women welcome other women into their presence that's different than the way they would welcome in a guy. There's also a certain competitive way that women greet each other, and Virginia on bygender.net calls it the female once-over. And it's sort of when you walk into a group of women, they look you up and down and try to assess your threat level to the existing social hierarchy, and either dismiss you because you aren't a threat or try to dismiss you because you are a threat. I haven't experienced that so much, mostly because most of the time I'm hanging out with women, I'm hanging out with my friends, so there is definitely some jockeying for position and top 10 in the pecking order, but it's not as profound as it would be amongst a group of strangers, or being a stranger entering an established group of women. But yeah, as a girl, I never have to open a door if I don't want to, nor change a tire, or do anything that would allow me to be in a position of being a damsel. Guys want to rescue you if you're a girl. I don't particularly care to be a damsel. I wore a shirt in one of my videos that said self-rescuing princess, which I think is very accurate. I changed the alternator in my own car the other day because it was going, and I identified the problem. I did call my dad for some of his expertise because he's much more mechanically minded than I am. But I went and got the part and changed it out and cut my finger. But my car is now working because I fixed it. I was pretty proud of myself. I'm trying to think if there's other differences. What's weird is that even people who know me, guys especially, who know me as both Paul and Brin, will follow this social script of, treating me differently when I'm a girl. Granted, I want them to treat me like a woman, but, this is where it gets tricky. I want them to treat me like any other woman. I just wish they didn't treat every other woman the way that they do. I'm not innocent of all of this either. Guys do try to do things for me, and I'm not any weaker because I'm wearing a skirt, but guys will try and take packages from me, or, bags, or carry things for me that I would otherwise be responsible for carrying on my own. Let's see. I really think my opinion doesn't carry as much weight when I'm wearing a skirt than it does when I'm wearing pants. And I had to really examine myself and make sure that I wasn't doing the same thing. And oftentimes, I think I was. So this has allowed me to catch myself falling into my own privilege, and try to be better about it. And I have tried to be better about it. Tried to be more open to listening to women that I work with, women in general, but, especially in the workplace, women tend to get dismissed in ways that men aren't. Enoch also asked how things were when I go out with my girlfriend as a guy, as a heterosexual couple and as a lesbian couple. I think most of the time when we go out as two women, people assume first that we're friends and not that we're dating, unless we're not being shy about PDA, which up to the point where it starts to become really gross, we aren't shy about PDA. We hold hands and touch and things, but not anything that would better belong in a bedroom. So, at the very least, there's that initial assumption that we're friends and not partners. And then I think we do draw looks, but I don't know that we've gotten too much different treatment as out as a couple. Being two women or a man and a woman. I'm not sure I have an answer to that. I honestly, I've had to learn a whole new set of instincts while being out on a date. Because as a guy, growing up as a guy, I was socialized with a certain level of, or certain set of expectations for dating behavior that, seem odd coming from a woman. Like, the sort of chivalry stuff, like the pulling out the chair, which I never got anyway. She can move her own chair. But, it feels different. Between the two of us, not necessarily the way people treat us, but I've not really explored that too very much. It was a very good question Enoch asked. I wish I could have given a better answer. So yeah, I guess really that's all I really had to talk about this week, or this video. You can see that the nose is healing quite well. Both my kids had to go into have their tonsils out, so that was another thing drawing energy and attention and time away. But they're both doing fine. Yeah, pay attention to the way that you are treating the people of one sex versus people of the other sex, and see if you're doing those things that can make someone feel embarrassed or upset because you're not giving them the opportunity to own what they know and own what they don't know. You're not giving due respect to someone because her voice comes at a higher pitch than yours. Don't assume that a girl is weak, and don't assume a man is knowledgeable. But that's kind of what we all have to fight with. There's more to privilege than that, but that's all I have for now. I'll put a link to Unpacking the Invisible Knapsack, which talks about white privilege, and you can do some Googling from there to find out, to find more riffs on that same style about male privilege. There is some about female privilege too, but it's not quite the same as male privilege. Anyway, until next time, please feel free to send me questions. I have a FormSpring now, so formspring.com/BrinConvenient. Send me emails through Facebook, through YouTube. You can send me an email at brin@bigender.net. And as always, feel free to join the conversation at bigender.net. Our community is growing pretty quickly, and we're getting more and more people, and the conversation's really jumping. So come join us. Thanks.